Hi there. My name's Simon Holmes, and I'm the program leader for the MSc pre-registration course here at Queen Margaret University. Now, I wasn't going to do a presentation as such with slides. I just thought we could maybe have a chat and I could just give you some information. I'm happy for anybody to ask questions as we go through the presentation. And in order to do that, the best way to do it is either put something in the chat box, either that, or at the bottom of your screen you'll see 4 icons, and one of them has got a little person with a hand in the air. So if you click on that, and I'll just note that you've got a question to ask. Okay, so a little bit about Diagnostic Radiography. It's a course that is registered with the Health and Care Professions Council, which is the UK registrable body for all allied health professions courses. And an allied health profession, if you're not aware, it's any of those which are supplementary to nursing and medicine. So radiotherapy, physiotherapy, radiography, occupational therapy, etc. So it's one of those, and all of these courses have to be registered with the HCPC. Now, the thing that makes this course a little bit different from maybe a lot of the other courses within the UK is the fact that it's a fast track course, which is at master's level. So it's essentially the whole of the undergraduate program, which in Scotland is 4 years, and we get through it in 26 months. So if you register and start in the September of a year, you'll then qualify 2 years down the line in the November. Okay, so it'd be 26 months. Within 26 months, we pretty much split the course in half, in that we have academic year block, and over the summer you will have 17 weeks of placement, and you're back in an academic for the best part of a year, and another 17 weeks of placement. So in terms of week, it's half and half ish, and we have to do that, and it completely mirrors the content and the clinical content of the undergraduate course. There's no difference in that respect. With respect to the academic content, you do physics, and it's physics that's relevant to diagnostic radiography. So things like X-ray production, X-ray safety, what happens with the X-rays when they hit the patient, what happens when the X-rays hit the image receptor, and when we create images. So it's the pathway of X-ray production right to way to the point of creating an image. So there's a lot of that, but I always stress that we're not teaching you to be physicists, but we're teaching you to be radiographers with an understanding of physics. So if you haven't done it before, don't worry about it. We will cover the content of the physics to the point that it will get you through into the career. We also cover elements of research, professionalism, a little bit of leadership, etc., from the additional bits, and then all the clinical elements. So we will teach you all about X-ray positioning, how to deal with a patient. We'll do that within the university setting initially, and then you'll have your placements to back that up. So we'll talk a little bit about the clinical element in a little while. Now, one of the common questions I get is, well, which bit is master's level? Because of course, the clinical bit, you can't make clinical practice suddenly at master's level, because clinical work is clinical work. So the clinical element still is at undergraduate level. And in Scotland, that level of learning is level 10. In Scotland, level 11 is the master's level work. So all the academic content is at master's level. So rather than doing the standards that you might have experienced at undergraduate level, for instance, you'll be writing at master's level. So there's a lot of interaction with the literature, critical thinking, and that kind of stuff, which pushes it up to level 11. And that's why we're able to say that it's a master's, but just to be aware that the clinical content is at undergraduate level. And as such, that makes it quite an intense course, because you have to have your 180 master's level credits as standard to get the master's, but you have to also do the clinical elements on top of that. So there's a lot of credits and there's a lot of work in order to get through the course. So when people come in we always say that to everybody, that it is a very intense course, and anybody that comes onto the course, we stress that. And just to put it into context in terms of how intense it is, and I don't want to put you off, I'm just trying to be realistic with this, in that the first module, the first radiographic professional module, is essentially the whole of year one and a little bit more of the undergraduate program squeezed into one semester. So there's a lot to do, a lot of self-directed study. But the staff team, we've been running this course now for 14 years. So we're well aware of the intensity of the course. So we're there to help you through it, in order to get you through the course. From the point of view of the clinical element, a lot of institutions give people one base hospital to work from to get all of their clinical experience for 1 year, and maybe another base hospital for another year. But what we try and do at Queen Margaret within this course, and all our courses actually, is give you short, sharp bursts of different departments. So you might have a week at the Royal in Edinburgh, you might have a week at the Kids Hospital, you might go over to Fife for a week, you might be in MRI for a week, you might be in CT for a week. And the reason we do that is to really give you as broad a sense of experiences as we can. And in a way, if you stay in one hospital for too long, you become slightly institutionalized, and you get very, very used to protocols and procedures in one hospital and equipment in one hospital. But we're trying to make you aware of a large array of goals and procedures. Hi, sorry, Ruben, did you have a specific question?
Hey, Simon. Sorry if this has already been asked. Just a quick question about the course itself. Given the circumstances surrounding COVID, I know it's still early days because the course won't start till next September, but how do you feel it may have, if it's changed at all, given the circumstances? Is it all like online based now, do you reckon?
Well, what this year we've been running it as per COVID this year since April, and what we've found is that there's certain elements that we've had to move online, but certain elements that we've kept face to face. What we've tried to do is offer every single student, and this is from QMU as a whole, offer every student 6 hours of contact time per week. So we have used that for the practical element, because we've got practical room in campus. So that's 3 hours of practical sessions per week, and then maybe a get-together tutorial or a little bit of group work in a classroom to try and get a sense of the fact that you're still a group and a cohort, so you get to meet each other. So we've kept that element. We can't deliver all of that face to face, so there are bits and bobs which are online, and we're very used to dealing with online and delivering online content here. We do deliver a full postgraduate online masters, so we've sort of used the skills that we've already got and transferred it to our online platform, which is actually this. The platform that you're looking at the moment is the way that we teach our online content. So I would anticipate, if the COVID rules stay as they are, we would continue delivering it like that. If the COVID rules change, and if this vaccine that we've been hearing about over the next couple of days proves to be successful, and that we start going more back to normal, then we'll try and move our teaching back online. I think the reason it works online or face to face is because as a self-directed study, most of the online teaching is simply discussions, chats, seminars, discussions. I might have a little bit of content, but then I split you off into groups. They're online groups, but it's still group work, and that, I don't think it's probably as effective as being face to face, obviously, for the reasons that we're all aware of. But it's still been effective, and it still works. The only thing that has been slightly difficult over COVID is the clinical placements, because for about 4 or 5 months, all clinical placements across the whole of the UK were pulled. So we didn't have that option, and the course that suffered mainly for that was this pre-reg masters course, because it was the summer months that we tend to send them out. Now we are working so that we can start getting all the students that have not received all the clinical weeks. We're getting them out over the next few weeks and months. So we're hoping that by the time we hit September, we'll be back in a situation where we're pretty much back to normal with our clinical weeks. And again, if this vaccine is everything that we're hoping, then we might be back to normal further. But we're hopeful that we'll be back to normal as soon as we can. You know, if I'm able to say that, I'm not sure. Does that answer your question, Ruth?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thanks so much, mate. Sorry to throw you off, of course.
No. I think this is the whole point of this, is just to have a chat about stuff. Has anybody got any other questions about the general structure of the course while we're addressing it?
Sure. I've got one quick final follow-up question, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of, I know for applications you kind of require, is it care experience you're after, or is it actual experience working in a radiology type department, at least for a day? I do remember having a quick conversation with you a few months ago, and I know you mentioned to try and pester as many people as possible. I have tried to do that, but essentially I've struggled to sort of get experience in that respect before my application.
I think standardly we would say to people, if you haven't got the experience, we wouldn't consider your application. Now, we know that we're in a slightly odd situation with that at the moment. There are a couple of departments that we would always turn to. I don't know if I gave you those contact details. It's usually the Borders General and Nine Wells up in Dundee, who tend to be able to offer these placements. Are you based around Scotland?
I'm not. I'm based in Leicester in England.
Okay.
At the moment.
I think in general it's a difficult situation. What we have been doing previously, because we've had a few applications at the end of last academic year for this September start, we just sort of said to people, get what you can, and we sometimes would offer a place with the feeling that they would then eventually go off and get experience, and all of them did manage to get experience at the end. And in it, with experience, all we want is for you to have a day, a half a day, whatever time you can get within an imaging department shadowing a radiographer, a diagnostic radiographer, so you can see what the job entails. Because what we don't want is for people to drop out of the course for two reasons. Selfishly, we don't want to lose places. Not necessarily for Queen Margaret, although that's a consideration, but more for the fact that currently there's quite a big shortage of radiographers out there. We're looking at about 11% shortage nationally. So courses like this are really important to try and plug that gap. And if people drop out, then obviously that's an important potential member of staff off the cards. So that's one reason we want to make sure that people are going to get through the course. And secondly, because it's quite a financial burden, because it's a self-funded course, we don't want people spending money on modules that they're then going to drop out. And we have, I think it was before my time, but very early on when we started offering the course, we had somebody that came in, and then when he went on his first clinical placement, it wasn't what he expected, and then he dropped out of the course, because of course you go through a whole academic year before you actually have your clinical placement. So we want people to have that experience. So that's the first reason we ask the placement experience. And secondly, it's so that you can demonstrate to us that you know what the job entails. Because what better way of working that out other than seeing it? And also you can demonstrate that you're the right person for that, because it does take particular skills. It's like any job, isn't it? You can't just walk in and be brilliant at everything, and you need certain skills. I mean, for a start, you need to be very personable. You need to have amazingly fast, quick thinking, communication skills. You can't be squeamish. There's a lot of blood and guts and gore out there. Sure. So we need people to have that. I don't necessarily know people around Leicester that might be able to help. I think the issue is because since GDPR came in, there was a lot of issues regarding people getting temporary contracts so they could get access to rooms, or at least getting access to the workplace. And then, of course, with COVID, they need to be very COVID secure. So there's that additional element. I would just keep plugging away at it. I wouldn't let it delay your application. I would just say, get your application in if you haven't got it, and then, we can have a look at that if your application gets through.
Absolutely. I'm definitely exploring a few avenues at the moment. So that was going to be my next question, is that if I pop my application through and then between now and obviously next September, I do manage to secure something, is that something that could be considered or looked into, if that makes sense? So
Yeah, I would just get it in. If you've got all the other bits ready, and just as long as you demonstrate you know what radiography is,
mm-hmm.
and that's the main thing we're looking for. If you haven't got that clinical experience. Yeah, I don't think that we can view people's applications negatively if they haven't got clinical experiences, because we're aware of this issue at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's great. Thanks so much for that. Yeah, it's a big help. Yeah, thank you.
Has anybody else got any questions regarding the structure?
Simon, it's Greg. Could I ask a quick question?
You can.
I was fascinated by your statistic. There was an 11% shortage of radiographers.
Yes.
Is that in Scotland, in the Scottish sector, or is that a UK-wide issue?
It's a UK-wide issue, and it's for various reasons. I think that the biggest issue, as we've just come to a big point of retirement, so a lot of people have retired, and the vacancies haven't been filled. And it's not just the fact that people are retiring and we're trying to fill the vacancies, but we're trying to fill the vacancies with people with the equivalent experience of the people that retired. It's not just a case of bums on seats, as we say. So it has been a challenge. So courses like this are so important, because it gives another avenue to fill those vacancies. I think within the media you hear about the radiographer issues and the radiologist issues, so the medics who do the reporting. There's a big shortage of those at the moment. I think we're just going through a little bit of a dip staff-wise. But the good point about that is that there are jobs absolutely everywhere.
I was going to say, I guess the opportunities in that statistic sounds, it's not a great statistic, for the sector, but it's a great statistic if you're, a wannabe radiographer. I think that's amazing. Well, it's amazing, but in a positive.
Well, it is. I mean, from our point of view, we've got 100% employability across all of our courses, and it's because there are the jobs out there. And from the point of view of where you want to work, you can work in Scotland, you can work in the rest of the UK, you can work abroad. I've certainly worked in Australia, New Zealand, and places like that. You can work in the Middle East. As long as you can register with the country's radiation board, whatever process that is, that there's work. And the other thing to say is it's not just clinical work that's available. You can do what I'm doing and teach. You can work for one of the manufacturers in sales. You can work for one of the manufacturers as an application specialist, and that's essentially a clinical specialist that goes around hospital departments teaching radiographers how to use the equipment or set up the equipment. There's a whole plethora of jobs. You can go into research if you wish, and certainly I've had a very varied career clinically in various countries, in various jobs, in education and in leadership. It's a very versatile career, and it's a very secure career as well. So it's good from that point of view. It's competitive, the course is, but if you get on the course, you're guaranteed a career, I would suggest.
And without seeming to say the wrong thing, and there's not every course and there's not every option in life has that kind of that positive outlook. What we're finding, I guess, with a lot of courses across the university at the moment is that maybe the jobs market out there is not quite what it was maybe a couple of years ago for understandable reasons with the awful pandemic. But what a lot of people are looking to do is to further their education, is to improve their skill set and improve their ability to be extremely employable when the tide turns a little bit. But to have the details that you're saying just now is incredible for radiographers. 100%.
We talked about having 100% employability, but what we also try and do is give people that versatile clinical experience to give you that sort of heads up beyond people from other institutions perhaps. And especially for this course, we have departments holding jobs open because, one, they like graduates, two, the graduates from this course are maybe a wee bit more mature. We find that graduates from this course work up the ladder very quickly because you go into the NHS as a band 5 radiographer, and it tends to be around Scotland that you're in a band 5 post for a year or 2 years or something. You know, we've had graduate, this is particularly unusual, I suppose, but we've had a graduate come off this course and within 2 weeks she had a band 6 job. And that's because she trained at this particular hospital, they offered her the job, they really liked her, and then it was a natural progression for her. So you can use your clinical placements as an opportunity to check out the hospitals yourself, whether you want to work at them or not. Really showcase yourself to the employers. Then you know they'll be aware of you, you'll be aware of them, and then pretty much the job's available at the end of your course because you qualify at a different time to the undergraduates. The undergraduates are qualifying around about April time. This pre-reg masters course, people qualify in November, so it's really beneficial because it's a completely different time, and jobs pop up at that time of year, employers hold them open. I suppose the other thing I want to say is the placement sites that we use are all across the central belt of Scotland. So we're looking at Edinburgh, as far south as the Borders, which is only 35-40 miles south, up to St John's, which is Livingston. We have got placements across in Ayr, but we only use those if we've got students that live over there or are happy to travel over to Ayr. We've got a number of placements in Fife, sort of Kirkcaldy kind of direction. We have some placements up in Dundee and in Perth, but again, we only use the Perth site if we've got people that live there or want to travel there. So this is the range of experiences that we give people. The other thing that we do offer is an elective placement. Now, this is a 4-week placement that students arrange themselves, and you can go anywhere, and you can use it as a bit of a holiday. So we've had people go off to America, to Australia, to New Zealand for their elective, just going off and, you know, obviously within the realms of learning, often have a nice time. Or people have wanted to maybe return home, for instance, back to England, across to Ireland, and go and work in their local hospital for their elective placement and treat it essentially as a 4-week interview. So an interview for you to see the hospital and for the hospital to see you. And then people have got jobs that way as well. So people have used that to their advantage from the point of view of employment as well. So that's maybe another consideration, but that's something a little bit further down the line. Now, the other thing I just did want to mention was for the cohort that will be starting in September 2021, there will still be the option to opt out of the dissertation because you'll register on an MSc, but you can qualify with a postgraduate diploma. So you can opt out your master's. So just have a PG dip in diagnostic radiography. And the reason that's allowed is because the core content that the HCPC stipulate all qualified radiographers have is within the PG dip. Now, the course is designed for the masters, so it will mean that your second year is very, very light because there are 60 credits of master's level work you're not doing. But it will save you money and the time for that dissertation module. Okay, so that's maybe something to consider within the 2021 cohort. Hi, Ruben.
Hey again, Simon.
That's okay.
Just a question about that option. What are the benefits and drawbacks over doing the PG dip and the MSc? Like what opportunities are open to you if you do an MSc or if you decide not to do the PG dip?
Well, in terms of employability, we found it makes absolutely no difference whatsoever. I suppose were we surprised by that? I don't know if we were surprised by that or not. I never thought about it, to be honest. But the bottom line is because you'll be qualified with your postgraduate diploma to do the job, all employers want is somebody that can do the job. And if you can do it with a postgraduate diploma, that's what they want. The thing that it will do for you, it will get you an MSc. It will get the opportunity to carry out a research project. It will give you 600 hours more work, because like 100 hours essentially equates, sort of 10 credits at master's level equates to around about 100 hours of work. So a 60 credit module is 600 hours of work. So it's a lot more work, and it's the cost of the module. But other than that, there's not a great deal different. Now, one thing you have got to be aware of, you know, when we first started running this course all them years ago, radiographers in practice were quite aware of it, because they were saying, oh yeah, but they've got a master's and they've not worked yet. But what we've got to realise is this is a pre-registration master's. If you want to work up within the profession, like become an advanced practitioner in a certain specialism or do reporting, you need to have a post-registration master's, which is essentially a master's once you've qualified. So it won't mean that it will fast track you to advanced practice or anything like that. It won't do that.
Okay.
You still have to do those postgraduate courses after qualification. So
Sure.
some people come onto the course, they want to do it. Some people come on the course, they don't want to do it. And we've had people with PhDs come on the course that wanted to do the masters because they enjoy it. We've had people that this is their first masters who've decided not to do it. So there's no consistency, but it tends to average out about half the student cohort do it. That's it.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Thank you for that.
Pleasure. Any other questions regarding the course or any of the content? At the moment, we've got quite a small staff group. There's only 3 of us, 4 diagnostic staff. But in one way, it's tough because there's a lot to do. But in another way, it's great because it means that we know everybody. You know, so I think as a staff group, I don't want to blow our own trumpet, but we have got a reputation, and whenever we get the feedback from the course, we have a good reputation for the staff, for the student support that we offer. We've got a good level of pastoral support, and because we have people that come from other courses, they say to us, we never got this in our last course. I think we value that as a staff group. You know, we think that we're there to support students, we're there to get them through the course, so we do try and maintain that relationship. So that's something to maybe think about as well. Any other questions about the course? Have people got their applications in?
Simon, that's what I was just about to suggest, actually, just sort of maybe talking through the application process. And,
okay, yeah.
Maybe if you have an application deadline,
yeah.
Or...
Now, the applications, what we tend to do is we tend to have a lot of applications in very early on. And we are having the applications already. So I think if you want to apply, I would suggest getting your applications in as soon as. And we tend to fill it on a first come, first served basis. And that's how we've always run it. So once the course is full, we tend to then shut applications. Our only concern at the moment is because we're lagging behind slightly with placements from the previous cohort. If that, like I said before, if that position doesn't change, we might have to limit the amount of people that we can accept on the course because we'll be limited with placements. But our hope is that we'll be back to normal by September so that we can offer a standard amount. Now, this year we offered 17 places. We pushed the numbers a little bit, which is more than we'd offered before, and I'm hoping that we can offer that amount again. Fingers crossed, because as I said, we need to get these radiographers qualified. From the point of view of the application process, we want a 2-2 BS honours degree in any subject. And the reason that we want any subject, and we talk about this a lot, is because this is a course that we're offering for people to have the opportunity to change the direction of their career or their studies. And you know, there are some courses that offer this kind of program that insists on the science, and my argument is then we're not fulfilling what we're actually after. We want to offer people a true change in direction, and if we're only offering places to scientists, then that's not what we're about. So we've had people from sports, we've had people from business, accountancy, we've had people from other healthcare professors. We had nurses come on it, midwives come on it. We've had a vet So it's all range of things, but it has to be a 2-2. And the reason that we insist on a 2-2 is because we need to know that people are at a certain standard of academic work and academic writing in order that they'll succeed in the course, because it is so intense. We do give you a little bit of academic writing support at the start so that everybody is at that level. We need to know that you can work at that level in order to be successful. So that's the first thing. The second thing that we look at is your personal statement. And I think we were talking to Rupen before about the expectations of that. I want to see that applicants know or are demonstrating that they know what diagnostic radiography is, and that they're showing why they are the right person for that. And I would prefer to read about concrete evidence, because everybody can say, I'm brilliant at teamwork, I'm brilliant at this or that. But if you can show me specific examples of what you've done to show why you're good for radiography, that's great. And we usually rely on the clinical experience, the shadowing experience for that. As I said before, people are struggling with that maybe at the minute, but I would, if you're local, we have the departments that we can call upon that have seem to have been able to offer places for these shadowing experiences. And within your personal statement, if you have been on a shadowing experience, tell us what you've done, tell us what you've seen, and be honest about it. If you haven't seen a great deal, but you've seen a little bit, just focus on the bits that you've seen, because we know that there are certain modalities, certain imaging techniques that you won't be able to go and see. So just be aware of that. If you can't get that experience, get your application in, and we can maybe talk about that. Talk about why you haven't been able to get that experience. Hopefully we can build on that. And then we will assess all applications, and we will get people in for interview if we feel that the application is strong. And I say, as soon as we've filled those places, we will close applications. So get your applicants in as soon as you can. Is that okay, Greg? Any other questions?
I think that's absolutely perfect. I was just going to say, in terms of what you're looking for with all the registration programs, I guess we're not expecting people to be diagnostic radiographers already, but to be an understanding of what a diagnostic radiographer is and what they do. As well as obviously academic background as well. So that's perfect. I think as well, in terms of recruitment and support, we want to make sure that there's outlets there for everyone to be able to come in and chat to us whenever you really need to, I suppose. We run online every Wednesday at 10 AM and 4 PM in Edinburgh time. So, well, say Edinburgh time, it's not like we don't have our own time zone in Edinburgh, but GMT. So yeah, if anybody wants to come in and chat to myself or to Kat or to one of our friendly team, if you have any questions about applying or funding or scholarships or anything like that, I'm a typical man. I can do things at once. But I'll tell you first, and I'll pop the links into the chat box after that as well. So if anyone has any questions and they want to ask it, so every Wednesday, 10 AM, 4 PM, and I'm about to pop a web link into the chat box, which will give you the details as to how to join. Any questions? As I say, no formalities, pretty friendly, laid back, be comfortable, come in and know that you can ask anything you need to, and that if we don't have the answers, we can get them for you. But I guess, like Simon said, it's about having all the information to hand, knowing how to make an application. But before that, what's really required of you and what really you're looking to do, what path you're wanting to go down, and to make sure that it's right for you. So we want to make you, we want to make you aware of everything, the good, the bad, the challenging aspects of it. As Simon says, it will be a challenging course, but if you do that, then you can prepare yourself, and if we can help you prepare yourself, then we've done our job when it comes down to that. So I'll hand back over to Simon, but I'll just pop the link into the chat box here for them. What it will say is, it's the international team that are running it. Technically, my job is international manager, but it doesn't matter if you're from Glasgow or Vietnam or Singapore or Vancouver. We don't care. You're going to get a very warm Scottish welcome whenever you come and chat to us, and we'll look after you as best we can.
Yeah, just following on from that, we've actually got somebody from Singapore who hasn't been able to come across here for the academic content or the talk content. So she's doing this whole course online at the moment. She will be coming across for the placement element, because the way that we can only run placements at sites that we're assigned to, if you like, that we've got agreements with. So she will come across here for that, hopefully from next April when things settle down. We've managed to run practical sessions, interactive online practical sessions with her. So it's worked really well. And the other thing I did want to say is that this is a course designed to get you into a career. So it's the start of a career as opposed to just an academic course. And we do encourage people, and it tends to be more of an undergraduate issue. This is when people finish a module, they go and pop it somewhere in a cupboard, forget about it, and then move on to the next module. What we try and do with this course, particularly because it's a quick, is that we do the first module, and then the second module is really building up from the first module. So by the, in that you can't forget what you did at the start. You have to remember it and build onto it. So it's really the beginning of your journey. Fear of sounding a bit academic here. It's the beginning of your learning journey in order that we can qualify you into a lifelong career. That's what we're aiming to do. And Greg was saying contact him and his office, etc. for chats. I'm happy for anybody to drop me an email if you've got any questions. sholmes@qmu.ac.uk, and I'm happy to chat you through anything. All the information is on the website as well, but what we've just spoken about is pretty much what you need to know. We've also got Catherine McClintock and Louisa Armstrong. Catherine is the person who oversees the clinical, and Louisa Armstrong is somebody that does a lot of the academic teaching with the team. I'm the programme leader, so contact me. The other thing to say that I didn't mention is that we still practice radiographically as well. I still work clinically, so I work in MRI. I've worked in MRI for the last 15 years. And Louisa still works in CT and MRI as well. So we've got current clinical experience. I think we feel that we need to do that to be able to teach it. It's a vocational job. And in order to be current, we need to be still able to do that. So we've still got that currency within our team, which we're very proud about as well. Any other questions? I think we've popped all the thing about the team sessions as well with Greg.
Yeah, I mean, we've got another sort of 5 or so minutes. If anybody has any more questions, we're more than happy to take them. If there's any questions, not just necessarily about the academic side of things, if anything I can help with in answering questions, anything about Edinburgh.
Hey, sorry, I feel like I'm hijacking the question section.
Please do, have it, because you're guaranteed someone else is wanting to ask it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've got a question about just getting a bit prepared. Maybe, obviously, if we were successful in getting a place, it's about a year between now and then. Do you have any sort of recommended preliminary reading we could push up on?
We used to send out a pre-reading list, but my feeling now is that make the most of having a time of not have to do any reading. Don't clog up your life with doing reading before you have to. And the other thing is that we're going to be working through all the necessary information in order that you can qualify. So we'll be covering all the content. If people are successful, there's information about one book that I send out to people, just if they want to. And that's really covering basic radiographic technique and terminology, because terminology is really important. If people can get into the speak of it, if you like, it makes it a lot easier when you start the course. But I think we spent a lot of time sending reading materials out, and people, I mean, in my eyes, quite rightly didn't bother because they wanted to have as much free time as they could, because it's so intense when you start. So it's nothing that I would worry about. And we will give you book lists, and we have access to a lot of online stuff now. So you'll have access to it as soon as you arrive from that perspective.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, I'll keep that in mind then, actually. Yeah, it's a load off my mind.
Yeah, go and have a pint. That's what I say. Don't have a read.
I'll probably just have to grow my beard like yours in that time, to be honest.
Get it out. Hi, Roxy, have you got a question?
Hello there, Simon. I was just wondering about apply in itself in the personal statement.
Yeah.
The 4,000 characters. It says on there that it might be if it's slightly over an additional document.
Yeah.
Would you just prefer it being within that 4,000 characters?
Yeah, I think we can get a sense of somebody within a few sentences. So I think if you try and be concise and just get the information out, just relevant stuff, I would suggest. And just make sure that it's about radiography. We talk about band 5 radiographers because we're qualifying you to be a band 5 radiographer. So an awareness of what that is, what that means, what we're actually teaching you, because it always astounds me the amount of people that apply who don't seem to have an awareness of what the job is. And there's no way that I'm going to accept somebody that isn't showing me that they know what the job is for the reasons that we've talked about. I would suggest. Yeah, so just get it within those 4,000 characters if you can.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions? I suppose the other thing, carrying on from what Greg was saying, Edinburgh's a great place. You know, before we moved up here, myself and my family, we talked wanting to live next to the sea, next to the mountains, and that's exactly where we are. We're in a really great city. We live in a place called Portobello, which is right on the beach. I can see the beach pretty much from my house, if I could look through the building that's in front of my house, but it's about 2 minutes walk to the sea. We've got the mountains, just about 20 minutes in the other direction. Yes, it's Scottish. Yes, it's cold during the winter, but it's proper brilliant. It's a lovely place to live. Because we only came up here temporarily for a year, and then we liked it so much. Sort of 7 years later, we're still here. So it's a really nice place. It's a nice place to live, and you find a large proportion of students that come here end up working here and staying and living here. So it's good from that point of view as well.
Simon, I'm from Glasgow and I moved to Edinburgh, and I say good things about Edinburgh as well, so that gives some perspective. But yeah, I think it is a friendly place, a friendly city. There's also, you know, from a student's perspective, there's 4 universities in the city, so there's always something to do. I know Simon will work you very hard, and rightly so, I suppose. But you know, there's always something happening, whether that's, you know, the festivals, you know, rugby, football, whatever you want to do. There's something in Edinburgh for you to do it, and it's also so well connected to the rest of the world as well. You know, if you think pre kind of COVID times, and hopefully we'll get back to normality soon. You can be in Paris in an hour and a half, or Berlin in an hour and 3/4. You know, it's but Scotland. I mean, Scotland itself, Simon. You know, as you're saying, it's just something else. It really is. You know, you're so close to everything. It's a compact city in itself, but it's also very well connected to the rest of Scotland. So we're very, very lucky.
If you like the mountains, as we do, my wife's in the sea every day. Swimming, she went this morning. You know, you got that there. It's just amazing. If you like climbing, we do a lot of climbing and canoeing and paddleboarding and all that kind of stuff. So if you're an outdoorsy type, get up here. That's all I can say. Even if you're not an outdoorsy type, get up here, because you will become an outdoorsy type eventually when you're here. Brilliant.
And the beards are optional.
Yeah. The only thing, if you do join this course, you've got to grow a beard down to your waist. That's the only rule. Women and men.
Can recommend a good barber as close to university campus, so I
benefit from that. Now. Can you see I do my own? This is my COVID hairdo.
Yeah, I think we've all got that. So, okay, folks, I think we're just about out of time, so thanks ever so much to everyone. Ruben, thank you very much and Roxy, thanks for contributing. It wouldn't be the same if it was just Simon and I talking along, so we hugely appreciate your support for the session, contributing. Thanks to everyone who came along. We're here to help, we're here to support. Thanks, Kat, and Gillian, you're very welcome. It's lovely to kind of meet everyone, and hopefully, you know, when things are back to normal, we will run further sessions on diagnostic radiography. You know, before we welcome everyone to campus next September. So don't be a stranger if you do come to the sessions, or if you're in any of the other sessions and you want to say hello. You know, come and do that. Come and have a chat with us. We're nice people. So yes, and just I guess on behalf of myself, Simon, thanks ever so much for taking time out of your busy schedule and your busy home life as well, by the sound of it in the background as well. So thanks to you for giving up, you know, some time to be with us all this afternoon. So it's hugely appreciated. And all that remains for me to say is to everyone to take care, to stay safe, and to enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Thanks very much, everyone. Take care.
Bye now.